God uses the language of covenant to talk about the special relationship of connectedness and care and concern that God invites us into. The covenant can be thought of as being kind of four-dimensional. It pertains to our relationship with ourselves and healing within us, to our relationship with each other, to our relationship with God, and to our relationship with all of creation. We look back, we know God first made that covenant with Abraham and Sarah, and we see then in Exodus, God setting apart the people in the wilderness as they're brought to slavery in Egypt. He teaches them to live in ways that were over and against the hierarchical and dominating structures that they were escaping under Pharaoh. There, as in this passage and so many others that we've been looking at, especially in the recent weeks, we see this theme of reordering the world so that the most vulnerable can thrive. Because when those who are at the bottom or those who are most excluded or disadvantaged have their needs met, it actually improves things for everyone. Have any of you ever heard of what's been referred to as the curb cut effect? Do y'all know what I'm talking about when I say curb cuts? Like in the sidewalks, they're the little ramps. And those have their origins in the 1970s. Before that, not a lot of sidewalks had curb cuts like that. But in the 70s, a group of disability rights activists, they went out in the night and they poured a concrete slab to make a ramp for themselves to be able to access, and that began this movement. And it wasn't until 20 years later in 1990 that it actually became federally mandated. But once cities and towns started putting in these curb cuts, they realized it wasn't just people in wheelchairs who benefited. I mean, think about it. Parents pushing strollers now didn't have to do the old foot on the stroller to get it up on the curb. And older folks who had trouble, picking up their feet high enough to get up on the step, they could use those. Workers pushing carts and people wheeling luggage, everyone benefited from the accessibility being increased. And that is so often true in so many parts of our society. When we take steps to make sure everyone has access, that everyone can be equitably included, that the vulnerable are taken care of, we typically all benefit. Helping one group doesn't diminish the others. It lifts them all up. Of course, all of our work for equity and justice is not something that we believe is just achieved through our human efforts. In the beginning and the middle and the end of our Isaiah 42 passage, we see reinforced that we are the ones, although we are the ones carrying out this work, God is the one who's making it happen. God upholds and chooses and anoints the servant. God, the one who created the heavens, who stretched them out, who spread out the earth and its offspring and gave breath to its people and all life that walks on earth. This is the one who is grasping our hand, guarding us. This one who created everything with a word is now declaring and creating new things. And so we can have confidence to boldly go where we have been called to do what God is calling us to do. And so the bulk of our service this morning for the next little bit is going to be a time of reflection. And we're going to think about what is it exactly for each of us that God is inviting us and calling us to do. And so you might have noticed when you came in, there's 6 different stations set up. There's one here, 2 over there, 1 at the altar table, and then 1 in the back corner out in the entranceway, and 1 just down that first little flight of steps. And so at each one, you'll find a brief word of instruction to read, and then words of prayer that are taken from John Wesley's covenant renewal service. And at each one, there's a simple action to take right here while you're doing it, like holding a stone and then dropping it in the water, or writing something, or lighting a candle. And if you're joining us online, you'll also see copied into the chat a link so that you can participate in these prayer stations both virtually. And so hope you'll do that as well.